Hello and welcome to Write, Learn and Earn. So are you an author? Do you have a newsletter list? You might be asking, why is having a newsletter list incredibly important? Well, that's because all of the platforms that you have your book on, such as Amazon or Apple Books or whatever form you want to be selling the books in, everyone that buys from those platforms, those people are their customers and not your customers. And they're always going to be promoting the latest and greatest books and the people that are advertising on those platforms. But you have a completely different agenda. You want to build super fans. And one of the ways to build super fans is to build your newsletter so that you can control the communication that goes through to your readers. One way to handle this is through Story Origin, and I'm chatting to the beautiful Amanda, who is from Austin, Texas. And I'd like to thank you very much, Amanda, for joining us today. And can you tell us a little bit about the kind of genre you write in, why you decided to become an author, and one or two fun facts about your author journey?
Yeah, so specifically, I write Jane Austen variations, which is a subset of historical romance. So basically, the characters and worlds from Jane Austen's books, I take those and modify them, think of what would happen if, so and so met this character before this event happened, or oh, what happened to these characters after the book ended, and create some new original stories using her characters. And that's a very popular, very quickly growing genre. There are more and more Jane Austen variation authors on Amazon every day, so it's really a great market to be in right now, and I love it. I've been a fan of Jane Austen for over 12 years, and ever since the 2005 movie came out with Keira Knightley. Don't hate me, Colin Firth fans, but that was my first entry into Pride and Prejudice, into Jane Austen, and it's what made me fall with her books and the adaptations that came from that. And I write other historical romances and contemporary romances as well, but that's kind of my main target right now.
And you've got a free giveaway, which people can grab hold of a little bit later. Is that correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this is a Valentine's Day themed story that I wrote about Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. And it kind of takes place within the scope of the novel, but kind of adds in some details of like, what would happen if Mr. Darcy decided to send Elizabeth a Valentine, but in secret, and she doesn't know that it's him, and they start writing back and forth, which of course would have been a little bit scandalous at that time, a single woman writing to a single man. So they keep it all very secret. And all this time, she doesn't know that it's him until the day that she finds out. So it's a very fun story. I had a lot of fun writing it. And you can get it for free from my link through Story Origin. So we'll have that link in the comments.
So thank you very much. I think that all of our romance readers are going to love grabbing a copy of that. So you say that it's on Story Origin, and we will have the link for the Story Origin over here, so people can get a two-part experience. They can get the book, and they can also see what it's like to sign on to a newsletter using Story Origin. But tell us about how you discovered Story Origin, because not all authors know about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's still just so new that very few people know about it. I actually heard about it from another romance author, Ellen Mint. She writes paranormal and contemporary romances. And I was just like, what is this Story Origin? And I knew that I wanted to have a bigger newsletter at the time. I only had about 45 people on there, mostly family and friends from church and my community. So really like not a lot of people that I'm trying to reach. And I had no clue how to go about growing my newsletter. But I'd started hearing some things about reader magnets and, using a free story as an entryway to gain more readers, and, looked into Book Funnel and some of the other ones, and just was like, I'm not sure I can spring for this in the budget. And then I heard about Story Origin from her, and that it's free right now. We'll probably still be paying for it when it goes to a paid promotion because it's so, so valuable. But, that was kind of like, try this for free. I'm in. And that's how I got started doing Story Origin. And it's just been an amazing tool. I had no idea just how valuable of a tool it would be. I mean, I use it almost every single day for some purpose. So I'll be happy to tell you all the benefits of that here on our show.
One of the things that people don't realize, which is not something that they market for the product, but for me, it's like having a PA that I don't need to pay for, because I've got a very, very busy life. So I've got 3 kids, I'm married, I've got another business interest, I'm writing the series, and there have been times where I kind of forget that I've got a newsletter due, and then there's this little email that pops up in the morning. Please remember to send out your email today. And so I find that is actually a lovely little reminder for me. But what are the things that you are using that have actually impacted your career quite significantly that is available on Story Origin?
So definitely the newsletter building through the Reader Magnet has been substantial. I mean, to date, I've had over 1,600 people sign up to get my Reader Magnet. And obviously some of them have dropped off. I go through and prune the list of people that, never open a single email from me after the welcome email. So I currently have about 1,300 people on my newsletter list, which is fantastic. And for the span of a year, and really within the first 6 months of using my newsletter, using this Reader Magnet, I went from those 45 friends and family to about 1,200 people, which is just phenomenal.
That is. And what kind of things do you put into your newsletter? I'm always intrigued because each author does a different sort of formula on what they're putting in.
Yeah, so I always include a personal letter, talking something about what's going on in my life or with my writing. Sometimes I'll include a teaser of a book. And then I usually, if I've read any good books recently, I write a book review of that, and I'll usually include the featured review with the link to my website. And then I usually do newsletter swaps with other authors. I try to include no more than about 7 or 8 newsletter swaps per newsletter so that readers don't get overwhelmed with too many different choices. And then the same thing with group promotions, probably no more than 3 or 4 group promotions in that newsletter. And then I like to include other fun things, like I'll include a history spotlight, Valentine's Day in the Regency era, or, something like that. And then I also like to include just a little excerpt from one of Jane Austen's books. I call that feature Tea with Jane, and that's been fun for people to just kind of read a little snippet of her books and kind of remember the original source for all of my books.
That's lovely. And what I find is very interesting is sometimes you think people are not reading them, but they actually do. And when you do something that's engaging to them, they respond. I think I've mentioned this 3 times to 3 different authors because it was like absolutely amazing. I had a lady over the Christmas period share her family recipe book with me. She actually sent me a Word document for all the people that in her family that have over generations been adding recipes to this recipe book. And I was very touched that she shared it with me. That was amazing. But for the people who don't know Story Origin at all, explain to them what a group promo is.
So a group promotion is where several authors will get together, and during a set period of time, we will all help promote each other's books. So let's say you want to do a group promotion for reader magnets. So you would submit your reader magnet to that group promo, and other people would all submit. And then you'll get a tracking link from Story Origin. And when the promo starts, like say you've got a promo going for the month of February, during that month, you will share that link with your newsletter list and on social media. You can share on social media anytime. Usually you'll just share with your newsletter on your regularly planned date. And that way, you're helping get other people's books some airtime in front of the readers, and they're helping get your book in front of readers. And by working together, we can get a lot more exposure. So it's not just your 1,200 people. but it's also this person's, 1,300, this person's 600, this person, maybe they have a small list, but they have a really large media following. Everyone is working together to get the book in front of a different audience.
And what I also like about it is when you are looking at the back end of Story Origin, you can actually see the conversion rate that authors have. So what Michael was saying in the interview that we did with him is that sometimes someone's got a massive list, but their percentage of people who are opening the list is so small that sometimes a person who's got a smaller list with a higher open rate actually works better for you than someone who's got that really massive list. So those are stats and bits of information that is really useful to us. Quick question, have you used their review option?
I just started doing that with my last book release. I started building an advanced review team through that, and had about maybe 30 people sign up from there, and then I had an additional 30 people through my newsletter list that I sent them a direct download link instead of making them go through the review application process. And out of those, only a small percentage will actually leave a review, but that still helps. That's still great. For a book that has 0 reviews, when you can get 5 people to leave a review on, Amazon or Goodreads or BookBub, that makes a difference.
I think it makes a phenomenal difference because it just takes time away from your writing if you actually have to follow up and just keep on checking on people. But what I love about Story Origin is that you can vet people who wanted to come onto your review team, and that I find incredibly helpful. So just the other day, I saw that someone had applied to read my book, and she had applied for 61 review copies. But when you had a look at her stats, she wasn't doing any reviews. And you can actually even go onto the person's Amazon platform, and you can go onto Goodreads, whichever ones they've linked. And when I went onto her Amazon site, she only had 2 reviews, and one of them was a complaint about the price of the book. So with Story Origin, you actually have the opportunity to decline that person instead of just accepting them all from a blanket perspective. And I find that some of the other products don't have that. They don't have that vetting system so that you can choose the quality of reviewer that you want. Plus, you can also get to see, if you write an incredibly conservative romance and someone is only reading, you can see it from their profile, they're only reading hot and steamy, you probably wouldn't get a good review from that person in any case, because they're going to where's all of the X-rated scenes? So that's also a nice way of seeing, is it going to be a good fit for you to work with this particular person?
Yeah, absolutely.
So another thing that I want to ask you about is your book available on Kindle Unlimited?
Well, I have currently 2 titles that are on Kindle Unlimited. I have one of my historical Pride and Prejudice variations on there, and then I have my contemporary romance on there, which has some inspiration from Jane Austen, but it's not a literal modern interpretation of any of her books. And both of those have done pretty well on Kindle Unlimited. I find that about 50% of my income annually is coming from Kindle Unlimited page reads.
Just explain to the readers, because there was some brand new people that visit the channel that haven't even published their first book. Can you explain to people what Kindle Unlimited is?
So Kindle Unlimited is like Amazon's kind of exclusive club, you could say. If your book is enrolled in Kindle Unlimited, that means that the ebook version of your book cannot be sold or distributed for free anywhere else while it's enrolled in Kindle Unlimited. So you can't put, a free download link on your website or put it on any of those, freebie sites. You can't sell it through other retailers. Now that doesn't apply to the paperback version. You can have the paperback version listed anywhere else that you want. So if you want to have your paperback on Barnes & Noble, no problem. But the ebook has to be exclusive to Amazon during that period. And then on the reader end, they will have a subscription fee for Kindle Unlimited, which for readers who don't know, you can often get a promotion to get 3 months free of Kindle Unlimited, or 2 months for 99 cents, things like that. So always look and see if there's a deal, because you could be getting Kindle Unlimited reading for free, but the author is still getting paid for those page reads. So that's a really great perk to have. And I've definitely been guilty of forgetting to cancel my trial and just kept going for a couple months because I enjoyed the reading so much on Kindle Unlimited. There's just so many great titles, and it's very easy to find things in your favorite genres to read on there. But for authors, basically every time somebody downloads your book on Kindle Unlimited and starts reading it, Kindle is tracking how many pages that person is reading. And then at the end of the month, there's a global fund from all the people that have paid into their subscriptions for Kindle Unlimited, and that amount gets divided up among all the authors. And it comes out to about 4 or 5 cents a page read. So not a ton, but if you have a longer book, or if you have a whole series of books, Kindle Unlimited readers love reading just from one book to the next to the next. And they can easily burn through your book in a day or two and then want to read more from you. So if you have multiple titles on there in Kindle Unlimited, that's really going to be a big benefit to you. But even if you only have one book on there, even when I just had one book published, I was still getting, a significant part of my income from Kindle Unlimited page reads, because of course we know everybody likes to read books that are, quote, for free. So even if they're paying a subscription, they've already got their membership, and so for them to read your book is like, oh well, it's free, so why not?
Yes, that's true. We've got a thing almost like Netflix in South Africa, and when we pay for the subscription, I'm usually the one that's going to be binge watching series because I just watch one after the other, because I don't have to pay anything extra for it because it's a flat fee. So that's pretty exciting. And they say that the Kindle Unlimited readers are hyper readers. They just devour books. So it's very good for the bank balance if you attract their attention. But how do you attract their attention if you're on StoryOrigin?
So one of the things that I love to do to get more page reads is to target Kindle Unlimited readers with a specific promotion for Kindle Unlimited. So when you go into the group promotions section, you can filter by type of promotion. Like you could have a giveaway, which is for reader magnets, or you could have a sale, which includes any kind of book that you have your universal book link set up for. Or you can have ones that specifically are targeting Kindle Unlimited. And so, a group promotion organizer, they're going to specify in the description of that promo, only books that are enrolled in Kindle Unlimited during this promotion are going to be allowed. So, it's a little bit of an honor system. Somebody could sneak their book in there and, it unenrolls right before the promo starts, and the organizer's probably not going to know. But that's not going to be to that person's benefit, because readers are going to click there, find out that their book is not in KU, and then they're going to be mad and disappointed that the book that they wanted to read isn't available in their subscription plan. But then from there, once you've got books enrolled in these group promos, you can share them, like I said, on your newsletter list and also on social media. One thing I've had a lot of success with is targeting Facebook groups for Kindle Unlimited books. And, I'll put a post on there with the link to the group promo, a little blurb about what kind of books it's about, maybe some hashtags. And I usually get some people that are looking for that type of book on there. I also target like Kindle Unlimited romance specifically, because that's my genre. So you can look for groups online that are for your genre and increase page reads through that.
That's a really good hack. I think I'm going to try that with my book. I don't write romance. I write medieval fantasy with dragons and all kinds of goodies in it. But I haven't tried that to find other Kindle Unlimited groups on Facebook. So I think I'm definitely going to implement that one. So do you have any little special hacks that you find have worked specifically for you that maybe someone else hasn't mentioned to you beforehand?
Well, I found that Facebook groups is kind of like a little hidden niche place where readers are hiding out. And since I write Jane Austen stories, I specifically look for groups on Facebook that are for Jane Austen fans. And I'm an active member in several different groups. I contribute to the discussions on there and, talk to fans through there. I don't just drop my book link and run away. And that has been a really lucrative place to connect with readers. And then when it comes time for my book sale, they're like, oh, yeah, I remember her. I talked to her about why Mr. Darcy is, just shy instead of proud and arrogant or something like that. They remember me because we have conversations online. I'm not just some rando that's dropping self-promotion ads. And I find that those places are really, really good, even more than the other groups that are targeting just random books. There's a lot of just generic book loving groups, and in a way those are kind of a little bit of place for your book link to just kind of be put there and die, because very few people are actually looking through those book ads for books to read. It's mostly advertisers and very few readers, so it's much harder to get people, because even the readers that are on there, they might not be looking for your genre at all. But a group that's specifically dedicated to your genre and fans of that, they're going to be a lot more engaged readers.
I like that. It works very well with targeting and working with relationships, because when you get to know the person, then you're more in a position of trust, and so you're more likely to have a look at what they're doing. So definitely, those of you who are watching, I know sometimes people get a little bit nervous about social media, but there is also a way of managing it that you can still manage your time. So tell us, what is next on the cards for you? What are you working on at the moment?
So I am working on a historical romance that's very loosely based on Pride and Prejudice. It's actually a prequel, Pride and Prejudice, that features one of the main antagonists in the series, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Almost everybody that's read Pride and Prejudice remembers her. She's so proud and haughty and has all of these killer lines. And I just thought that it would be so interesting to explore her life, as a young debutante, and then, going on into her marriage. And so that's what I'm working on right now. So we get to see the origins of Lady Catherine.
Yeah, because no one is a villain in their own story. We all think that we are the heroes of our stories. So even the baddies or the people with the bad reputation, they still want to have love and happiness, happily ever after, whatever form that's going to take. Amanda, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a fun chat. I've loved hearing about your books, and thank you very much for sharing the insights that you have. Everyone, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to this channel so that you can hear about other authors' journeys and what they're doing to promote their books and to further their careers. Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.